name's Evelyn Ranone, and I was in the first cohort of the Emerging Leaders program, and it works phenomenal if you put your own effort into it, okay? And your life will change, again, but you have to put your own effort into it. So I have a statement that I like to use. You'll see that I like to use a couple of different statements that I just keep in my head. They help keep me grounded. They help me think like a leader, okay? And so I want you to think about this and then let me know your thoughts. I believe that if you change the way you look at things, then the things you look at will change. What comes to mind when I say that? By the way, it's a participative class. I don't just speak. Yes?
Stand in the mirror. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. That's a big part.
Yep. Like that. Your name, please.
Zara.
Zara. Anyone else? So that's about self-change. Yes?
Even when it feels like we don't have control or I don't have control, I actually do, because I can make a choice about how I perceive things and how I move through the world.
Yes. Great answer. Anyone else? Yes?
Perspective matters, and changing the narrative in terms of, how you view things can make the ultimate difference.
Absolutely. Your name, and
Shauna.
I need your name too. What is it?
Shauna.
Shauna?
Christina.
Christina. Very good. So when you're talking to me, just tell me your name. I just like to know. And I want everyone to know who's in this class as well, not just me speaking. Because this really is about you and the great things that you're doing here. So when I say change the way you look at things and the things that you look at change, I realize that I'm Puerto Rican, from Puerto Rican background. It's very follow the rules. This is what you do. This is how it works. And that's the way I was raised. So when people told me this is how you have to do something, and I couldn't do it that way, or it didn't come out right, I felt like a failure. Until I decided I'm gonna take what they say and change the way I have to do it so that I could be successful. Interesting, right? People tell you this is what you do to climb up the corporate ladder, right? No, you do what makes you feel right, okay? You be your authentic self, you know your disc profile, and you can get there, okay? Know your Clifton strengths. All of these things I learned in this class, and I'm telling you, they helped me tenfold. So let me explain really quickly how it helped me tenfold. So when I started this program, I was in a department of the bank that was called the DEI department, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, okay? Loved it, said this is what my passion is, I definitely want to be a part of it. Then, all of a sudden, within that DEI department, they said, you know what, you do really well in the community. We think that you should be a CRA officer. CRA just means Corporate Community Revitalization Act, okay? And so, most banks have to follow this act, okay? And so that has a lot to do with the community, everything within the community, especially the low to moderate income community. So I was like, yes, that's my peeps, I want to do this, okay? So I took that on, not knowing all of the regulations that I had to know in order to make sure that the bank did this correctly. Not knowing that there would be examiners from the FDIC, the federal government, that are going to come in and exam. It's okay. I got this. Because I'm passionate about the outcome. See? Most people will look at it as, okay, this is what I have to do and this is the lane I have to stay in. And I try to look at it a different try to look at it a different way. So they made me a CRA officer. September of 2022, I had already taken this class. One of my goals was to be promoted, okay, by the end of 2022. Lisa Ranglin, my mentor, said you could do this. I became VP of CRA. All of a sudden, my supervisor took another job with the Mass Bankers Association. So I was like, whoa, what's gonna happen? Okay? Then they promoted me to first vice president, CRA officer. And I didn't really, the first goal was just to be promoted and to understand who I was as a leader. That's the first thing. Understand who you are, okay? And your strengths and your weaknesses, and when you have to say no, then you begin to understand others. Once you know yourself truly, you'll understand others and you'll be able to shift. Not change yourself, but shift a little. Say, well, this person might understand things differently, so let me shift, okay? A lot of leaders might not do that until now that they're realizing that you all in the BIPOC community are so important to the growth of the businesses, not only here in Rhode Island, but nationwide. And because of that, it is important that they begin to make that shift in thinking, okay? So once you begin to make that shift and you start understanding other people around you, what their Clifton strengths might be, they don't have to take a test. Once you know yourself and you understand yourself and those strengths, you'll see that in others, or the lack of that in others, okay? Then, how do you get them to follow you? What do you think? Tell me, how would you get someone to follow you? By shifting your strengths, like to help them. How do you get them to follow you? What's one way? Yes.
You have to show that you're invested in the people that you're serving. That way they feel empowered and they feel that they're heard,
Absolutely.
that they matter.
What's your name?
Well, Lawrence.
Yes, empowerment. And how do you give people, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, as well as, I was thinking of just being self-aware of others. Just like when we just talking about emotional intelligence, you know, just learning how to be aware of what they want to do, how they want to learn and develop in their career.
Interesting you say that, because when I came and hit 1 o'clock, I said, I want to respect everybody's time, right? And that's emotional intelligence. Because some of you might say, I can't believe this lady's making me. Okay? It's lunchtime, I'm gonna get sleepy, I'm gonna get out of here, let's go, right? So that's part of emotional intelligence. So no, you don't have to work for my company to be like me, you just have to understand your emotional intelligence. And me being Latina, well, it's 5 minutes, what's 5 minutes? You know? If you have a party, make sure you tell me it's a half an hour early because I'm gonna be there half an hour late, okay? So emotional intelligence is knowing yourself enough to respect what others might be thinking. See that? Another way that you all can lead is with your passion. So being Martin Luther King Jr.'s day yesterday, why did people follow him? Why do you think?
Because of his passion.
Because of his passion. What was his passion?
DEI.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Absolutely. Absolutely. And your name? Oyanir. Thank you very much. So people followed him because of his belief and his passion for that belief. So think about this, right? If I want to sell a computer, and there's a million competitors out there selling a computer, but I want to explain how mine is different, I have to find out what my passion for that product is, as well as yours, right? Because I have to market towards your passion, right? I have to market towards your passion, you know? Are you a religious person? Am I gonna say, you know, my company's mission and belief has to do with religion? You see? My company's belief is diversity, equity, inclusion. What is your belief? And getting people to believe that as well is going to get people to follow you. So how do you do that? Well, by knowing yourself, by being empathetic, okay? By being authentic. So what's authentic? Authentic means that there are situations where I might have to shift a little. Okay? Being authentic is sometimes I have to zip my mouth because the Puerto Rican's gonna come out. So I gotta zip my mouth and have someone I can vent to because I know myself. And so knowing who you are, first and foremost, which you're gonna learn in this class if you haven't already, and truly dive into it. Don't just know, okay, I need to be empathetic. Practice it, just like I just did. Practice it. Because when you practice it, when you do it, it becomes part of you. Okay, what do they say about habits? How many days this is?
Oh, it's 21 days.
21 days, 3 weeks. How do you know that?
Seeing it, reading it.
Seeing it, reading it. Most people say if you're on a diet, this is what you gotta do. This is how long it's gonna take, right? Right? And then you begin to believe that. Well, let me give you an example of a habit. I think you'll like this one. When you all wake up in the morning, what side of your mouth do you begin to brush your teeth on? Right, you have to think about it for a second, right? Or some people are like, oh, it's this side. Right, you have to think about it. Why? Because it's a habit. And when we were young, we needed people that were mentors, like your parents, to say, go brush your teeth. Go brush your teeth. Can't leave the house without brushing your teeth. Go brush your teeth. Go brush your teeth. With my daughter, I had one of those little Listerine little toothbrushes in the car. She hated Listerine. And I'm like, if you don't brush your teeth, you're brushing your teeth with the Listerine in the car. She brushed her teeth. So you need those mentors. You need those people to say, keep doing it. Keep trying. Believe in yourself. But you always have to go back to that authenticity. You have to be you. And so sometimes you have to tell yourself, it's okay. It's okay to be her because this is who I am. This is how I feel. Maybe I need to change the way I look at things. Right? So interesting. I want to open up the floor for you to all ask me some questions, whether it be about this class, whether it be about me, because I am open. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't get embarrassed very easily because I come from a family of 11. I'm number 11 and I have 5 brothers. So I don't get embarrassed very easily. By the way, same mom, same dad. God bless my mom. So, I'm gonna open the floor a little bit to you all to ask me some questions. Yes?
My name is Nana. So I have a question about your promotions. Would you say you were promoted because of your potential? Because you talked about all of those regulations in CRA that you didn't know. So would you say your management saw your potential, they knew you could do it, so they promoted you? Because I was listening to this audiobook that talked about how men, not always the case, are promoted based on their potential, but women, you have to prove yourself.
Okay, that's very good. 2 things, and I discussed it here. Passion. Okay? So one thing they saw is that I have passion, and there's nobody else that has the passion within the organization that I would have, I have for that community development. That doesn't mean that they don't have passions. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that my supervisors saw my passion. And then I showed them my potential. Interesting. They didn't just say, okay, we think you can do this. I said, look, I went to this class, I learned this, I did this, I did this. I'm not perfect. Neither are you, by the way. That's the reason. Yeah, I can't help it. I'm authentic, I tell people I'm authentic, I'm sorry, but it's reality. Okay? And then the second promotion to VP, I didn't even know was coming. I was happy. This was not about money for me. It's not about going up the ladder for me. It was about giving back to the community. And so they became my followers because of my passion, because of what I had done in the past, because of what RIBBA recognized me for. Interesting. See that? So yes, it's a little bit of both. But I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, I'm going to show them because this is my passion. If they don't want me, I'm sure there's another bank out there that's going to have me.
So I want to add a little, thank you, Evelyn, Lisa Ranglin here, and I have to chime in because I think some of the things that we've talked about in this program is really around passion is very, very important. But one of the things that we must do as leaders is to show up in a way where people know what our skills and capabilities are, right? You got to be able to differentiate yourself from your competitors. If there's 5 people in your team, why should they promote you? I think Evelyn talks about passion, but you must be able to demonstrate your skills and capabilities, the value that you bring to the organization. So if you're looking to be promoted in your company, what's that value that you bring? When companies are looking to promote leaders, they think about what value, what it is that you add to the company for the company to be successful. Companies want to be profitable. Companies want to retain top talent. How do you demonstrate your skills and capability that you have that in this 7 months leadership training program provided? Evelyn, you talked about your empowerment. You talked about how you were so fired up at graduation because you've gone through this entire program. But I want each and everyone in this room to really leverage all of the training that you've gone through, whether it's your emotional intelligence, your strength finders, to really show up in a different way. Yes, I have my credential, I have my experience, I'm passionate about this, but here is my value. So if you want to be promoted, always think about the gaps. What are some of the challenges that are in the organization today? How can you help the company get better, right? We talk about emotional intelligence, we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you must remember what it is that the company is looking for. How do you help the company solve problems? We are problem solvers, and we're gonna do that through you all showing up in a meaningful way.
And remember, the value that Lisa's speaking about doesn't necessarily have to happen because you have the experience. I showed the value because I was in training, I was learning, I was going to be a committed expert in the CRA field. And so they saw that. They saw that that was the value that I brought. That I didn't have to have all that experience, although I was committed to bringing this value to them and give them a different insight. Okay? And so that's exactly what I brought to the table. Any other questions? Yes?
My question was different, but after Lisa said that, do you feel like from what Lisa said and your experience with RIBBA, did that help you with imposter syndrome if you suffered from that in the past?
So, believe it or not, let me tell you about my imposter syndrome. So, Yes, I have curly hair, but it's not curly like her hair, okay? I have light skin, I have blue eyes, okay? I look like an Italian, a Portuguese person, someone like that, right? I don't know, people don't recognize, except those people from New York, might, that I have what I call a Philarican accent. You know, I'm from Philadelphia, so I have that kind of accent. I don't have a Bostonian accent, okay? And I have a Puerto Rican accent, but it's hard to figure out when you go out of your norm, okay? So I did not have that much of an imposter syndrome when I was sitting in a group of white males or white females. But I did feel like an imposter in a group of BIPOC. When I sat in this room, I felt like an imposter because I wasn't being my authentic self. I was able to discover that authentic self in this class because, yes, I am Puerto Rican. Doesn't matter what kind of skin I have, okay? And yes, I have a good culture. And yes, I have values. And yes, there are great, wonderful things that Puerto Ricans have done for this world, okay? But I always acted like I was like all the white males or white females. So interesting, it was like a reverse.
Yeah.
It was like a reverse imposter syndrome. And so it was very interesting when I sat in this class because it really, I'm telling you, look, you want to be a leader, you want to bring value, you want to bring change, okay? Don't be afraid and believe in who you are because God put you here for a reason. Be you. You can't be anybody else, by the way. Everybody else is taken. So might as well just be you. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm Clarabelle. One of the conversations we had today was about code switching and facial expressions. And you're saying, as a Latina, that you can't control what you're saying, but have you ever come upon situations where people told you to change your facial expressions and how you portray yourself?
Okay. So, you can change what you're saying. So another saying that I have, okay, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Okay? And so, I have to scan the room and decide how am I going to say what I want to say as my authentic self. How do I say that? Okay? And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. And so I zip my mouth shut and I go. Now, with regards to facial expressions, no one's told me I should change my facial expressions, but I've been told in the past that I'm rough around the edges. Evelyn, you're a little rough around the edges. You know what? I like it. I like it. And when people say that, I said, that's fine. That's who I am. And sometimes I'll go in a meeting and say, look, I have to pardon myself because I like to cuss. So I'm just gonna let you know a cuss word might come out here or there, okay? So sometimes I might go into a meeting like that. I always go into a meeting knowing that I have to ask questions. So you cannot be afraid. I don't care what level a person is, okay? Until this year, or I should say until the end of last year, I was reporting to a senior vice president. Now I report to the president, okay? You know how awkward that is when I have to say, look, I don't get that jargon you're talking about.
Yeah.
Please help me understand. And a good leader will take that as a learning opportunity. If you're with a bad leader, then you have to think, is this a place for me? Now, there are times where I feel little because I might be told that I should know something that I don't know. Like, well, you should know that. Okay? This is where I use the other. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. The person's just trying to help me. So that next time I know what I don't know now. So I say, okay, I appreciate you telling me that. I will know next time. You gotta be humble. You gotta be able to say, I don't know. Ask a lot of questions. Ask. You ever gone to a car dealership and the car dealer comes up to you? What's the first thing they do?
How can I help you today?
How can I help? They ask you a question.
Yep.
Right? Then you'll tell them, then they ask you another question. Then they ask you another question. Questions, the person that asks the questions leads the conversation. The person that asks the questions leads the conversation. It's very important. They laugh. And I'm telling you, it all comes from inside. Especially because of our various cultures, the history of the United States, a lot of it is we need to understand our own value, like Lisa said, yes.
So my name is Rebecca, and I just wanted to know, how do you overcome without feeling intimidated for the higher ups, especially going into your position? Now you report to the president, so how do you feel, how do you, basically overcome that?
Yes. Yes. How do you overcome it? Face your fears. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I had to stand behind that podium and read a speech to you all, you'd hear my voice crackle, and I'll be really nervous. Right now, my palms are sweaty. It's not easy. Do I have the passion to do it? Yes, because I know what I have to say is from my heart, and it can be empowering depending on, some of you will take what I say and leave and you'll be empowered, and some of you won't, and that's fine. Because I know that, I'm going to get up here and face my fears.
I can also add to that, since we're in the room.
Come on up here.
Oh no.
You have to come up here because we got cameras.
Absolutely. Ellie with RIBBA. As we are speaking with you guys, the next generation of leaders, adding to what you just said, the power of passion and the value that we must add to navigate any opportunity, and also how you respond to feeling intimidated or not, or facing a challenge. One of the key information I really want to share with you is how important it is to be ready. Actually, this came from a beautiful conversation I had with also my mentor that I stole from you, and my boss, someone who I absolutely admire. You guys have to be ready to whatever opportunity that comes to you, because if you're not ready, it doesn't matter the training that you took, the schools that you went to, and all the qualifications. It doesn't matter if you are speaking to one person or a group of 10 to 100 people, you must be ready. And what this readiness or this preparation comes with this constant search for filling the gap, feeling your skills gap, feeling your experience gap, feeling whatever you know in your heart that you're not good at it, that you're not good for the things that you want to get. Does it make sense? A lot of people always tell me, Ellie, you're so young, you got your PhD and an MBA and another couple masters at 30. Why? Because I felt that they needed to be ready for the big dreams that I had, ready for the opportunities that I never had that I want to, ready to be the best program manager here. I needed to get a project manager certification. I needed extra training, extra audiobooks, extra readings to be ready today. So my piece of advice got from my super mentor, you must be ready, and that comes with being honest with yourself and knowing what you don't know and what you need to know to fill that gap and show up always ready.
Yes.
So Christina, how do you not burn out?
A lot of salsa.
Me encanta.
You gotta find your outlet. Some people work out, some people like to walk. I'm like, you put on some merengue or salsa or whatever, and I'm dancing. So that's my outlet. The second thing I would suggest is that you have someone or a few people you can vent to. Just people that you just call and say, hey, I got to vent. Venting does not mean that the person on the other line needs to give you an answer. That doesn't mean that. It just means that they're listening and there to support you. Whether they think what you're doing is right or wrong. That you need that outlet. Especially when you're running. So this morning I had a dentist appointment. Then after the dentist appointment, I had to go to Swansea, and I had a 10 o'clock appointment, then 10:30 with the president, and then I have to rush here to try to be here at 12 o'clock so that I can make sure that the crew gets in and crew set up, and then I forget my script. I had a script, and I forget it, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I'm like, I got this. So I came in a little disheveled. I had to center myself. Lisa knows she was right across from me. I feel her energy. She was there. I was like, okay. She was like, how you doing? I was like, now I'm good. Now I'm good. Okay? So those are the three things. Because life is life. Take care of you. Take care of you. Yes.
Just being able to operate in all white spaces and pass, I was just wondering if you were ever like privy to conversations that somebody made about race, not knowing that you were Puerto Rican, and like how was your reaction? And like, yeah, how did you respond?
Okay. A good question or a good answer for that is, first of all, yes. And let me give you an example. Okay. I realized, because again, I keep saying, change the way you look at things and the things you look at will change. And so I would get offended when someone would say something about anything. Let me give you just a broad example. Columbus Day. You know, we call it Indigenous Peoples Day. We want to call it Columbus Day. You know, so how do you solve that? How do you figure that out? You know, when a company is trying to decide, okay, what do I call this? Okay, and then somebody might make a sly comment, like, I don't want to erase, you know, what happened in the past. Okay, or I want to still remember that. How are we going to forget our past? Okay, you might remember you might take that and then be offended. But you got to understand who's saying it. What's their world like? Okay? And so if somebody says something, which happened, you know, somebody said something like that, in this particular situation, it was generational. It was generational. I have to shift. So, another thing, I have to shift. I put in everything. She, her, ella. Okay, those are my pronouns. She, her, ella. Okay? Now, people have been asking me, like, what? Go by she, you're a girl, right? You're a she, you're her, right? Yeah? Then why do you have to put pronouns? So, teaching moment. I said, so that those who might look different from what their pronouns are would know that I can relate, that I am empathetic and sympathetic to them. I had to change. He saw it one way, which was fine. I get where he's coming from. Like, why are you gonna put that when you're a she, you're a you, this is the way you're born? Yeah. But I still put it.
It's really just using privilege as a cis person to uplift another community, and that's what we're trying to do as emerging leaders.
Yes.
I think, like, honestly, every and all conversation about race any topics that you guys, all of us may not feel comfortable, it is an opportunity to educate, to teach, because people are only afraid or, let's say, dislike what they don't know. So as the leaders that you guys are, you must leave this opportunity thinking that you individually have the responsibility to teach everyone out there who you are, what you do, and the things that our communities does. So you guys have the responsibility to teach people as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So was the teaching?
Yes.
So did that answer your question?
Yes, no, thank you.
All right, good. And I heard some people say, oh, wow, that's interesting. Oh, yeah. Do it. What are you waiting for? Do it. I even put on my business card, which I'm waiting to get because I just got it. So that is pretty much all I have. Do you have any more questions? And I'd like to thank the both of you for helping me out with this conversation. I think it's extremely important for it to be open and
Great job.
free to talk. Yes.
I have one question.
Yes.
So one more question, thank you. If you could give yourself,
Yeah.
like you who's starting the program, like now you're at the end, but if you
Yes.
could go back and say to you who's just starting emerging leaders, like one piece of advice or guidance, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself, remember, I came in because I was like, I am part of the BIPOC community, but people don't see me as part of the BIPOC community. So how do I change that? One of the things is being a part of the BIPOC program. Okay, so I came in with the intention of how do I change the way people think about me so they don't think of me as this Caucasian woman, right? Because I'm proud to be Puerto Rican, you know? And then I evolved into learning about who I am, which inevitably changed people's minds because now they see the more authentic me. So I would say, go for it. You're doing the right thing. Don't be scared. You're doing the right thing.
Thank you.